Hello, hello, hello! It's I, Fawful the Great 64, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the recent developer interview that happened with Mario Kart World. Now, they did reveal a lot of interesting stuff there. They revealed that the game had been in development since 2017, which is interesting. But the really interesting thing that they revealed about this Mario Kart is the logic that they had in their head when they chose the characters. Now, I'd like to preface this by saying I don't have anything against Cow, I don't have anything against Cataquack, Goomba, Pianta, any of those characters they added. In fact, Pianta was literally in my 96 character roster that I put together. So, there's that. When talking about how Cow got onto the roster, because apparently Cow was the first one that they added and they went from there. And I'll just start up here saying, now that you mention it, some of the new characters in this game seem like unlikely picks. In previous games, Cow was part of the scenery or an obstacle in one of the courses, but when we were working on an early version of a course in this game set on a ranch players can drive through, this sketch came up, and there's this cute little drawing of a cow driving the truck. And they thought, oh, I thought Cow was just on the back of the truck, but she's actually driving it. And here's where the interesting statement appears. Each new Mario Kart game features new characters to race with, but since we added so many to the previous game, we wondered where we could go from there. Basically confirming that at that point, they were at a loss for what to do. Let's first be clear about just with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, right? Because there are still characters that were in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that are not in Mario Kart World. So they didn't even get that full roster in here before they said, oh, well, we've added all we can add, where do we go from here? Which really doesn't sit right with me. Like, I can kind of understand when it comes to, like, Diddy Kong, maybe his new model to match with DK's modern design wasn't finished yet. We know it is now because there's renders of it. But maybe when they were adding characters, it wasn't finished. And maybe that's why. Maybe we could expect him as DLC later. Same with Funky Kong. But what about the Koopalings? Did they really not think that the Koopalings were worth remodeling to match Mario Kart World's new, more expressive style? I mean, I get the Koopalings weren't the most popular inclusions, but now that they're there, and they were also in Tour, I don't really see any point in cutting them. Also, Petey Piranha. Petey Piranha, where's Petey Piranha? He had just made his grand return after so long, and now he's gone again. I don't understand that. But the more pressing thing that I think this tells us is that they have a very defined radar, and it is actually very small. This has been theorized for a long time, right? They've never added RPG characters, they've never added WarioWare characters. The scope of what they add from Donkey Kong has also been very limited, Dixie Kong being the most recent one they added in Mario Kart Tour, but they've never added like King K. Rool, Cranky Kong, even though Cranky Kong literally drives in the Mario movie. And it's just like, why? I feel like at the point in time where we got Mario Super Sluggers, that was easily the most widespread and representative Mario roster that we've officially had. They are basically clearly insinuating here that after the roster of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they were at a loss for where to go from there. We've had years of fan rosters, years of fan discourse talking about all kinds of characters that haven't been touched yet, but they were unsure of where to go from here. You see where I'm going with this, right? It doesn't really make sense. The only way that they would be unsure of where to go from here, I refuse to believe that they're just completely in the dark about the fan requests, and the characters that fans have discussed, and the characters that we've put in our fan-made rosters. I refuse to believe that they're just in the dark about that. They have to be aware. Nintendo isn't the most known for listening to the fans, but it's not like they are blind to the fans. Even if you're gonna somehow claim that the fan base is going completely unheard by Nintendo, that all the fan discussions of this are just simply too niche for Nintendo to have been able to notice. Even if you're gonna try to sell me that claim, which I don't believe for a second. The media has talked about this. We know for a fact that Nintendo pays attention to the media. So, what I personally think is that there has to be something internally that they're drawing a line somewhere, and they're refusing to go over that line when they're considering characters. But here's the thing. they're not being transparent about that line. They're talking about it as if it doesn't exist. They're basically talking about what's before the line as if it's all there is in the Mario series. Not even addressing that the line exists at all. Not addressing that, yes, we see the requests for these characters and here's why we can't do that. They're not doing that. They're just acting as if this is all there is. And that's where I start to have a problem, right? It's been very clear something has been preventing these kinds of inclusions from happening. And I think maybe one of the reasons they've been able to do it for so long is they have successfully been able to just kind of tune out the fans that are asking about it. They don't address it, they've never been asked in an interview, and I don't really see much of a point to that. If they have a reason that these characters are unviable for whatever reason, oh, they would take too much effort to 3D model, blah blah blah, they don't represent the core brand of Mario enough, why not say that? You know? It's always been like this unspoken thing, and I think it's time that they speak it. Like, they seem interested in giving the fans insight as to the headspace that they develop these games on, but they don't want to outright say certain things. And there's no reason for that. Yeah, this will trigger backlash, but if it's the truth, then they should say it. You know? Like, I have constantly been the biggest advocate for Mario RPG characters in particular, because I love the Mario RPGs. I love what they add to the Mario world. They scratch an itch that the characters in the mainline games just really don't. And when I think about a roster of Mario characters, I think that those characters should have a place. I think that they should be part of it. Like, whenever someone asks me in public, whenever I go out in public and someone asks me what my favorite Mario character is, I always have to preface this by saying, okay, you probably don't know this character. This character is from a game that not as many people have played, and Nintendo refuses to add this character to any of the games that everyone plays. And I don't want to have to keep doing that, you know? When someone asks me my favorite Mario character, I want that character to be someone I can select in Mario Kart. I just feel like Nintendo has this internal insistence upon never doing that. But yeah, I don't want to ramble on for too long, so that's really all I had to say on the matter. I would honestly recommend checking out Reese's video on this for a more eloquent way of putting this. If you made it to the end of this video without clicking off and posting cope in the comment section, you're a real one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the flip side. Peace out.